Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to Nerds on Culture with Stormybman for this Monday, August 28th, 2023. And this is number 55, double nickels in the series of Nerds on Culture. And tonight we're going to talk about a classic cult film from 1997. The film is entitled Spawn, based on the graphic comic of the same name. And this comic was created by Todd McFarlane, a writer producer, and creator who has done some tremendous work in the realm of comics and graphic novels. Man, it's exciting to talk about Spawn. Believe it or not, it's a character that I don't know a great deal about, but I do understand the history that is associated with this character and Mr. McFarlane. So, as we go into talking about him for this evening, what you see on the screen between Drew and myself here tonight is the original theatrical poster for the character played by Michael Jai White. Believe it or not, it was a tremendous live action rendition of the character. I mean, they did a good job with the design and everything for the time. Like I said, this was circa 1997. You have to understand that they probably started this film in late 1995 or early 96, and it released in 97. So you must understand that that's how things worked during those times, and even currently. So pre-production begins on some of these films, and they don't get released until maybe a year, sometimes 2 to 3 years after they've completed the film, as they say, in the can. But with no further ado, allow me to introduce my partner in crime on this show. We got Drew Titan in the building. What's good with you, man? How you feel this evening?
I feel great. Salute to the sensei. Salute to the chat, man. And this is right up my alley. This is a big old nerd fact. Let's get it, man. Let's get it. I don't even know where to start, but the beginning.
Yeah, and see, look here, man. All in good. There's nothing like what I like to call symmetry, the way that the universe operates and brings things together. And I got a personal little surprise. Personal little surprise here that you, why you hadn't seen me on cam yet. And that's because I told you I was going to do this. But look at here, man. The Stormybman is rocking.
Oh, shoot.
It came in the mail today, bro.
Oh, snap. That is an official Drew Titan polo shirt.
Yeah.
Salute to the sensei.
That's what's up, man. Came in the mail today. I got home and it was sitting right there in the mailbox. I said, oh, snap. I'm going to wear this tonight, man. It's like,
wow.
Look at all extra handsome here with my little polo shirt on and everything.
I'm flattered.
You see how we support each other out here, man?
Oh, yeah.
Good deal, man. It's a good deal. But that's why I didn't have my camera on, because I was waiting to surprise while we went live on it, you know. So, but man, dope, look at this picture, this artwork of Spawn, man.
Man, listen, let me say this. Todd McFarlane was ahead of his time. For those of you that don't know, I'm an untrained artist. I draw. I grew up. I'm more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy, but I respect the gangster of DC. I'm a big old kid, like, and I say that not to be disrespectful. I say that because I was always into comic books and fantasy. To this day, I am. Me and my dad. You know what I mean? And when I started drawing, there's a lot of artists that I took a liking to as far as stylistic is, like, the style is concerned. This is going to be one of my first conversations on Bear Cave, I promise you guys. But Todd McFarlane is one of those guys. Without getting into deep of his history, the man's breakout comic book that caught the world's attention was Spider-Man. He actually did Batman before that. Y'all don't know that. A lot of y'all don't. Some of y'all do, most of y'all don't. But his breakout book was Spider-Man. And I forget which number, but his style of art was phenomenal. You go ahead and read that real quick.
Yes, sir. Salute to the brother. I am Trill Will out there in the super chat. He says, salute, fellas. I loved the Spawn series.
Oh
Yes,
man,
sir. So do we, man. I
man.
actually have the comic series on DVD. Just I didn't mean to interrupt. You go ahead and
Okay.
finish what you were saying, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you,
so
Will.
He salute Trill Will. He when Todd McFarlane took off, he took over Spider-Man. Marvel hired a bunch of artists that revamped everything they were doing over there because they were on the verge of bankruptcy. And part of the things that helped them rebound were a few artists. Todd McFarlane was one of them. A guy named Wills Portacio. Eric Larson did Amazing Spider-Man. Jim Lee, y'all all know who Jim Lee is. If y'all don't, y'all are crazy. He brought back the X-Men with his artwork. It's phenomenal artwork. And Rob Liefeld, people clown him or whatever, but you can't clown him because he also, you know what Rob Liefeld did? He gave all the untrained artists like myself hope. Because you saw the flaws, but he was just so damn good. And his style and the way he dressed his heroes was just phenomenal. But this is about Todd McFarlane and Spawn. You can't talk about Spawn without talking about Todd McFarlane. His last book that he did for Marvel was a crossover with Rob Liefeld. There was an X-Force Spider-Man crossover. Interesting in that book, the Juggernaut knocks over one of the World Trade Towers. In the book. I'm not even kidding. This was way before 9/11, y'all. It was kind of creepy. And that was Todd McFarlane's last artwork that he did for Marvel. He left, and all the popular artists left Marvel, and they formed Image Comics. It was Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson, Wills Portacio, Jim Lee, and they all had their own characters that they went over there with, and they had their own universe. And one of the characters that stuck out was Spawn. And Todd kind of trolled one of his Spawn covers because he did a very popular Spider-Man cover. And then when he did Spawn, he drew Spawn in the same exact position that he drew Spider-Man in for Marvel. I said, man, this guy's, before the term trolling was around, that's what he did. And actually, if you look at Spawn, it's kind of like an evil Spider-Man costume. It's like Venom to the
like
power.
it's like Venom, yeah. And another thing that I was gonna say about that, about trolling comes from us old comic heads and stuff. That's what we really were. You know, we were the ones.
Yeah,
that we initiated that kind of stuff. You know, it was our life.
Yeah.
We make fun of stuff when we were hyping it up, and we make fun of stuff when we were putting it down. It's like you couldn't tell sometimes whether we were in support or against something because we be trolling with it, you know.
Yeah.
Salute to the brother Joseph Townsend out there in that super chat. Appreciate you, Joseph. He says, Spawn is my favorite character. I hope they do a remake with either Michael B. Jordan or Jonathan Majors. Big shout out to Michael Jai White. Hashtag LDBC.comics. Yes, sir.
Let me tell you something. They can actually bring back Michael Jai White and just reboot it. He's still in great shape, and he's a really damn good actor. They could bring him back and reboot it. I'd watch it.
His acting now is far, better than when he played the character in this film. Just through the experience, and he has taken pretty darn good care of himself, being a true lifetime martial artist, practicing martial artist, which he could do that. But I'm gonna tell you something about selecting Michael Jai White for one of these major comic book characters. I actually believe that there is something against him in the industry regarding that, similar to what we see with what Deontay Wilder deals with in professional boxing, because Michael Jai White is an intimidating man, not only by his physical presence, but by his capability. He's one of the few people out here in an industry where you get paid to play various characters and stuff like that. But he's also one of the few people, he could literally do away with a person.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
He's for real.
And that's, to certain individuals, quite frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, quite frightening. So salute to the brother Eric Jordan out there in the super chat. Says, my favorite superhero, Spawn, a beast. Yeah, man. That's why we talking about him tonight, man. Y'all bring on the comments, because we'll read them. This is all of us partaking and sharing in this experience, man.
Yeah,
that's what this show is all about.
That's what it's all about right here, man. We nerding out right now. I like what Eric R said. Sidebar. That character Venom, Todd McFarlane created that character. He created that character. Just like Rob Liefeld created Deadpool. New Mutants 98, first appearance. I have the book. I have Spawn #1, issue #1, signed by Todd McFarlane. Signed by Todd McFarlane. I tried to get New Mutants #98, first appearance of Deadpool, signed by Rob Liefeld, but he had left the convention by the time I got there. I was pissed, boy. Yep. Yeah. Eric R says the Spawn costume that Cape mimic the Venom symbiote. The problem that these guys had over there and Marvel was that whatever characters they created, it was under the Marvel banner. So It's like you can't take your characters with you. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like they're theirs now. But it's like whatever. I follow both of them on Instagram. I follow everybody from Image on Instagram. Rob Liefeld saying, look, I see Deadpool on the screen. It's like I created that guy. That's like my baby. It's like crazy. There you go. That's Spawn. I think that's an action figure. I might have that one. And that's a recent picture of Michael Jai White. I mean, they could reboot it, man, and still cast him and make it a little more, being that we're in a different place as far as movies is concerned, so they can make it a little more dark, because I appreciated the Spawn movie for what it was for its time, but now if you reboot it, you can make it hella dark, man. You can make it hella dark. Todd McFarlane went on a rampage, man. He started Todd Toys, which later became McFarlane Toys. I have so many of those action figures. And you know what else I actually have? This is from the movie. The cape is actually CGI. That was a badass costume.
Yeah, man.
I have man, there was a comic book store up in Yonkers that was closing. It was called Dragon's Den. They had a bin of action figures for sale on clearance. So I'm in the bin. I'm just looking to see what things I could grab. And I look, and there was a character, Jason Wynn. Not from the movie, but from the comic books. Jason Wynn in the Image universe is like the Bob Arum fused with Eddie Hearn, fused with Daniel Kinahan. This guy is like the demon dog of everything. He got his hands in everything. And he's like the Lex Luthor of Image Comics, Stormy. That's who Jason Wynn is.
Okay, yeah.
And I grabbed it and I said, y'all selling this for $5? The guy was like, yeah, the store's closing in like a week. Now, I grabbed it and I brought it to the comic convention. And I had a Jason Wynn and I had Spawn #1. When I was standing on line waiting to meet Todd McFarlane, everybody was saying to me, yo, man, where'd you get that? I said, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. I literally just found it in a damn bin and I bought it for $5. And I think that Todd, with that particular action figure, you had to order it. You had to order the Jason Wynn and you had to order Al Simmons' wife, which is Spawn's original name. And I found that one, and I could only get one signed, so I chose to get the comic book signed. But Spawn. Let me just give you the official. Spawn was Spawn #1 was in May of 1992. I remember that well. He's a superhero. It was a monthly comic book. It was published by Image Comics, created by Todd McFarlane. There was a lot of spin-offs from the characters in Spawn. Had a lot of spin-offs from Angela to Sam and Twitch, which were the two cops in there, the detectives. Japanese manga, the 1997 film, and also my personal favorite, the HBO animated series from 97 to 99. Boy, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. That animated series was so true to the comic book, and it was nice and dark. There was like murder, and it was like true to the book, and I appreciated that. I was like, woo! I was so happy. And it says here, an upcoming reboot film starring Jamie Foxx and Jeremy Renner. They don't know if it's in the works, but you know they're saying it's an upcoming reboot. The character appears in annual compilations, miniseries, specials, written guests by authors and artists, and numerous crossover storylines and other books, including Savage Dragon. Savage Dragon was another character by one of my favorite artists named Eric Larson. Invincible. We didn't do a Noids on Culture on that, not yet, because season 2 is coming out. And Spawn also crossed over in DC Comics with Batman. So they're not beyond working with other companies. You know what I mean? Now, a little about the first Spawn that we saw. Spawn, his real name was Albert Francis Al Simmons. He's from Detroit. All right, he's the second of the oldest of 3 children born by Bernard Simmons and a traveling salesman, and Esther, his wife. Esther Simmons is a devil worshiper. His mom. Y'all didn't know that. There's a reason why Al was chosen. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Al Simmons is a very intelligent, physically strong, and highly decorated officer in the U.S. Marine Corps, attaining the rank of lieutenant colonel while serving with Force Recon. He later joins the Secret Service, becomes a high-ranking official, and is recruited by the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. Simmons later joins the U.S. Security Group, an umbrella agency encompassing of the CIA, NSA, and NSC, commanded by Director Jason Wynn. There's that name. And becomes a capable assassin. During a mission in Botswana, Wynn grows tired of Simmons' increasing sense of morality. He started to have a conscience for the things he was getting sent out to do. As a result of this, Simmons' friend and partner, Bruce Stinson, codenamed Shareable, sidebar, Shareable was a part of a superhero group called Youngblood from Image Comics. Whole time Al was trying to figure out who killed him, because he was well, let me read this and I'll get back to that. He secretly hired him to kill him. Simmons is burned to death and sent to hell. That's what happened. Shareable flips on him, kills him, all right, and then he goes to hell, making a deal with the devil, Mel Bolger. That's what they call him in Mel Bolger is Mephisto in Image, just to let y'all know. Stormy, that's what Mel Bolger is. Mel Bolger is Mephisto in Image. Simmons agrees to become a Hellspawn. After swearing to serve Mel Bolger, he is allowed to see his wife, Wanda, one last time. Mel Bolger returns Simmons to the living realm with a severely burnt body and a demonic guardian named the Violator. Now, let me stop right there. Here's what was special about Spawn, the character. The first couple of issues, you're trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, he did something bad. He was sent to hell. He made a deal with this demon. The demon sends him back to Earth. And all Hellspawns have these guardians named Violators that watch over them, right? Hellspawns have the magic ability to alter their appearance. So when he started to get his memory back, because that's another thing, he had memory problems. He saw his wife, right? But when he comes back to the world, it's a few years later, right? And then he notices she has a child. Now, here's the thing. Now he's in his feelings because he couldn't reproduce. He was having a problem. So when he comes back to Earth, what seemed like a blink of an eye from him was more like about 5 or 6 years, if I remember correctly. And now she has a child. And here's the kicker. She married a friend of his. And that's his baby. So when he figures out he could manipulate how he looks, he tries to turn into how he looked, and he couldn't do it. So he turned into this white guy with a baseball cap, and he says, "What the hell's going on? I'm a black man." I was like, "Oh, I was black." And you don't find out until issue number 2 or 3. I was like, "Oh crap, Al was black. That's crazy." So now he a few episodes in, he has a lot of side things going on, and he's trying to find out, wait a minute, how did I get killed? Then he figures out Jason Wynn set him up. And who shot him and killed him? Shareable. And that was at the end of I forgot, issue number 8 or something. And I said, "Oh my God, that's homeboy from Youngblood." That was Rob Liefeld's super group from another under Image. This is a whole universe. So then Spawn, that was the first crossover. He gets a hold of Shareable. Shareable, this is crazy. Shareable was a big diesel black dude who wore a skull. He wears a skull, like he face paints a skull on his face. And Spawn has the ability to teleport. He gets a hold of Shareable, and they fight. And he realizes, oh shit, that's Al. But he didn't kill Shareable. And here's a sidebar. This is crazy. They were doing. Now, I need y'all to listen. I need y'all to listen. There's a lot of gems in these comic books. Shareable, I believe he allowed the government to do experiments on him. And he's HIV positive. And he's also a ladies' man. Now, take what you want with that information. Right? So him and Shareable's fighting, and he says, I'm not going to kill you, but I want you to live with something. So he does something to Shareable, and then he leaves. So Youngblood comes in. There's like, "Yo, Shareable, you okay?" When they turn Shareable around, they was like, "Oh my God, call an ambulance." What Spawn did was, that face paint he used to put on his face and made it a skull. He made himself look like he put like a Punisher looking skull on his face. Right. Well, Al Simmons actually burnt a portion of his of the skin off his face, and now he really looks like that. That's how he looks. He removed the skin off his face, and now he looks like half his head is like a skull now. So he made him live with that. Whole time, the tragedy behind it is that he handled that business, but he wants to get back with his wife. And the only person that recognizes that it's Al is the goddamn dog. The dog recognizes him, but he can't turn back into Al. And there's another sad part. I mean, this is really deep. I'm jumping around here, but this is really deep. He finds out that his friend that eventually marries his ex-wife and procreated with her, he finds out that his friend had like brain cancer and was dying. So what he's also trying to do is get his soul back. So what he did was he used his powers and he removed the tumor that was terminal from his best friend's head so he can live and be a husband and a father to the baby. And that's all I'm going to give y'all right now. But it's a very tragic story that Al Simmons went through. It was like he was paying for his sins. Right here, this is a clip. Well, this is a picture from when he was fighting a Violator, who in the movie was played by John Leguizamo, and
who was crazy as I don't know what in that role.
There's a scene with John Leguizamo as the clown, the killer clown, ate a pizza with maggots on it, and I didn't know that. John said, no, those were real maggots on the pizza. And I'm like, what? It was real maggots. And he said he wanted to outdo a movie starring Nicolas Cage when Nicolas thought he was a vampire and he ate a roach. He ate a real water bug in that movie. I remember that. So John ate a pizza full of maggots. It was disgusting.
Ah!
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Yup. So when you see that scene in the movie, those are real maggots on a pizza, and John ate it. I couldn't do that. So the movie, now, you gotta understand, it was 1997. I appreciated it for what it was. What they did do, though, they changed the ethnicity of a few characters in the film. And they didn't focus on the personal tragedy of Al Simmons and his wife, because it was about him trying to get redemption, you know, and be with his wife. It's something that he could never do. But the movie, it focused more on him getting revenge on the people that double-crossed him. It wasn't like a love story. His best friend in the comic book was another black man. In the movie, that same character was a white guy. Okay, Jason Wynn was played by what's his name? What you call it? Who was Jason Wynn played by in the movie Stormy? What was his name? Oh gosh.
In Spawn?
Yeah, in Spawn. I'm having a brain fart right now.
Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen played Jason Wynn, and there was some Easter eggs in it. Angela, remember the scene? Remember the female assassin there?
Yeah.
She shot him up, and then he fell down, and when he looked, he said, "Oh, I got hit," and then the wounds healed, and he said, "Damn, man!" He realized he was damn near immortal. But that woman, she also becomes what they call I think she's like a angel of death. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Leto. Angela ended up being a Marvel character. All those characters got how could I say? A lot of those characters in Image got leased out to other they got leased out to other companies. For example, just a little sidebar. Stormy, you watched Flashpoint Paradox, right? The animated movie?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember when Flash went to the other future and with the other reality where Aquaman started taking over the world fighting the Amazons?
Yes.
Okay, now you remember the guy with all the guns that was shooting all the Amazons and they eventually killed him with an arrow in the head?
Right.
Okay, his name is Grifter. He's an Image character created by Jim Lee, and the team that he was on was called Wildcats. So when I was watching Flashpoint Paradox, I said, yo, that's Grifter from Image. What the hell is he doing here? That's the scene right there when he realized he couldn't get killed by bullets. That's the scene. So Grifter is actually from a team called Wildcats. So when I saw him in the book, when I saw him in Flashpoint Paradox, I said, whoa. So these guys have a habit of they leased out a lot of their characters. So it was a good thing. A lot of the characters were that company Image, they had some instant classics, man. Now those characters are about maybe 25, 30 years old now. But I remember when that company was in its infancy. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can get that super chat right there.
Yeah, just a second here.
And Joe Townsend, that's
okay,
good.
We got Joseph Townsend out here in the super chat. He says, random topic. But speaking of Hellfire, who will win between Spawn versus Scorpion?
I'm gonna
Appreciate
go with
you, Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph, I'm gonna go with Spawn because well, 1D, I think Hellspawns do more. They got more weapons, and plus there's more of them. So I'm gonna go with Spawn. And there's a lot that I've missed over the last 2 decades with Spawn, but I think Al Simmons was forgiven, and he there was something called Wings of Redemption, where he becomes an angel. So I have to follow up on all that, because after a while, I think I fell off after about maybe I had like a good 5-year run, and then McFarlane started hiring guys to take over the different books. It was regular Spawn, and then there was medieval Spawn, and future Spawn, and manga Spawn. Hell Spawns are from all walks of samurai Spawn. Like, there's when you're dying, and you're that kind of person that is like on the level, like, yo, you can either go to hell or you can make a deal with me and come back and get your life back. Like, yo, I choose to get my life back. You come back as a hell spawn. So that was Al Simmons. But this character was brown. Go ahead. Would you say something?
Look at that image, man.
Man, listen.
This is
crazy.
Hell.
I don't know if that's Todd McFarlane's art. I don't think it is. But Todd hired all the spinoffs from Spawn. Matter of fact, when I went to that comic convention in Jacob Javits right here in New York, the guy that he had that took over his book, Stormy, he drew just like him. I said, oh, shoot, this guy's good. It was a little Asian kid, too. I can't think of his name. I'm sure I could Google him, but God, dog, that guy was good, man. Also I ran up on Jim Lee. He was coming out the bathroom. I scared the crap out of him because he's a little dude. But Jim Lee, that's my guy, man. But man, this is a cold piece right here. This is a cold piece. I meant to go up to my storage and show you, but it's just too. I got so much stuff. I mean, Todd McFarlane must have got me for about 10 grand. The amount of money I spent on action figures, and the action figures look like models. They're all unopened. And Spawn #1, and my gosh, man. This guy set off Image right, man. And yeah, the Gunslinger Spawn. I mean, woo. Spawn also. Go ahead.
Let me put something on your mind, though. What if you could see a new Spawn movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But McFarlane gave the blessings to this guy right here to direct. What would, just tell me and imagine what it would be like to watch a Spawn movie directed by this guy.
Oh, Jesus.
Could you imagine that?
You know what, man? That would be the first superhero movie or anti-hero movie that I would petition for an Academy Award.
Listen, man. Did you see Darkseid and Steppenwolf in his Justice League film?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This man is a comic book fan. He's a comic book connoisseur. He's a comic book visionary. He's a comic book artist. This man draws the storyboards of his films out before they even start shooting or anything. He does like pre-vis work where his own stick figures, everything, he lays everything out. Yeah. Where the camera's gonna capture something from a particular angle and all of that. This man does not get the respect that he deserves, bro.
No,
he does not.
Man,
I'm gonna tell you something. His damn Darkseid, I don't know. he would have been way better than Thanos. I'm telling you. I'm telling
you. Yeah. I mean, and this is what you need. You need guys that are fans. You gotta understand, family. The reason why when we hit that next level as far as CGI was concerned, the skies were the limit. I mean, my mind is always like turning. And whenever I see a new technology, I always think, hey, what if they who did this would do a Marvel video game or a movie, or, I'll give you guys an example, y'all. When I first saw Street Fighter 2 in the arcade, when I first saw that video game, it was groundbreaking. And the rival to Capcom was SNK with the King of Fighters series. And both were good in their own right, different but good. It was the same difference between Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest, right? Both good in their own right, but one was a little more popular than the other. But when I first saw the Street Fighter 2, I said, man, what if they made a video game just like this with Marvel characters? And it was just a thought. And then they released a game called Street Fighter Alpha, which was a prequel to Street Fighter 2, but it had this new form of graphics that made everything look like cartoons. And I said, man, what if they made a video game with Marvel characters? 1 year later, X-Men, Children of the Atom. I said, somebody's listening to me. Then they did the Avengers game with the same comics, with the same graphics. Then they did the crossover, X-Men versus Street Fighter. And then they did Marvel versus Capcom. And then later on, what did they do? They introduced new graphics, and then they put Gaicha Man in it. I mean, goddamn, I had tears in my eyes. They put Gaicha Man. The game is called Capcom versus Tetsunoku. Stormy, we got to do a review on that. And they put anime characters in these. I said, man. And then Mortal Kombat. Back then, I was like, man, what if they started putting horror people into these damn video games? 2 decades later, Mortal Kombat comes out. And who's in the damn game? Spawn. And that wasn't the first game he was in. Spawn was in Soul Calibur, along with Darth Vader and Yoda, that was incredible. Spawn was also in a Dreamcast game. Y'all remember the Sega Dreamcast?
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, that game. We need to do a video. We need to do a show on consoles that did. The Dreamcast did a little more than they expected it to do. I was burning CDs for that thing. I was cloning games for it. It was crazy. That thing did a lot more than it was supposed to do. But anyway, there was a game called Heavy Metal based off of the magazine Heavy Metal from the 80s.
Right.
And the movie Heavy Metal. I want to review that movie too. Let's write that down. Heavy Metal, the movie. Spawn was in that video game. So this character has gotten around. I think this character generated millions for Todd McFarlane, man. And this character's cool, man. This character's just cool. Video games and movies, and I hope they do reboot it and put it back out. Salute my brother Ack Reacher, man.
He says, I love Spawn.
Our young man's going pro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Salute, Ack. Man, listen. That's why when it ran across my mind, I was like, to talk about this particular character, I don't even know why it hadn't come to us sooner, because we do a lot of different subjects, but I don't know a person who's aware of Spawn that don't like him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like He's just one of those. You could talk about all these other characters and people be like, yeah, he's one of my, he's one of my favorites. But you go ahead and bring up Spawn, and it brings a different type of consideration out of people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that you find out that it wasn't only him. Hell spawns are all over the place.
Right.
And that comic book was groundbreaking. I saw someone put in the chat the comic book with Billy Kincaid. He was a pedo, and Sam and Twitch was on his bumper. This dude was he was an ice cream man and kidnapping kids and deleting them. He was a mass murderer, and he was Al Simmons got a hold of him, and I got the comic. Y'all know what he did to him. and Al was an anti-hero, you know. And he got a hold of Billy Kincaid, and when they found the body, it was like Sam and Twitch was trying to find him to arrest him. And there was like a funny part in the comic where I think Kincaid had a rich family, so they let him walk off of a technicality, and he would say, "I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream." And Sam was like, "Yo, did you hear that? What the hell is that? Why is he saying that? He's gonna do it again." It was like crazy, man. but Al Simmons got a hold of him, and at the end of that book, Image was not Marvel, man. They got away with a lot of stuff. Al stripped him down, and when they found the body, he was hung up by those chains that Al makes move.
Yeah.
He was hung up by those chains like on meat. He was like on the meat rack, and he was stabbed with a note with his ice cream scooper on the dull end, right in the chest. Goofed him up, and Kincaid wakes up on the way to hell in front of Mel Bolger. And it was just wild. So it was crazy, man. In hell, there's too much to get into. There was a lot of gems in that thing that I was like, oh my God. Let me just say this was good. There was a being. These people were trapped in a cage, and a being came up playing a harp. And it said something to the people that were sitting on the like in this place, and everyone's like naked, like they're like all undressed. You're down there as you were born into the world, no clothes on. So then the thing says something, and now listen, y'all, an overweight black woman jumps up and says, "I sing the gospel," because the thing looked like an angel. And she started singing the words of a gospel song. So it reached down and it took her. And there was a guy there that's been in that realm for like 100 years. And he says, she thinks it's an angel. It's not an angel. That's a demon or something. And all it does is collect people that sing these songs. So she went into a point of purgatory. And it was interesting because where they were, it wasn't heaven or hell. It was like that last part where you got to make a decision.
Right.
So it's like
stopover point.
Right. It was a stopover point. So it was like, what are you doing there? You know, you sing the gospel, but what you should be in heaven. So what kind of life was you living to be right there? You know what I mean? There's a lot of gems in that book, man. There's a lot of gems. And I said it would be a heavy set black woman that get caught up into that shit. It was just very interesting, man. It was crazy, man. It was crazy. But yeah, Twitch was the homie. Twitch was the homie. Sam and Twitch, they had a spinoff there too. They had a spinoff book. Man, but this I can go on and on about Spawn. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I fell off.
The things that I like that they transferred or translated into the live action film was when his mask would form over his face.
Yeah.
To invoke emotion. Yeah. They would show that smoldering around his eyes. I thought that was a hell of a touch right there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
The
because it
thing,
wouldn't just like smoke like, psh, but it was
yeah,
like sometimes it would like flicker or something like, you know, like have a little wave to it or something. It was well done, man,
it was well,
for
well done.
the
Well
time
done.
that it was made.
Jermaine Wood says, who came first, Spawn or Ghost Rider? Well, the idea of the character Ghost Rider came out like in the 70s, I believe. It's an old character. But if you're talking in like a cross universe sense, Hellspawn's been around as long as Ghost Riders. That curse has been around. So you know, it's all about, you know, what do you read and what do you listen to. You know, I mean, this is this is an amazing book. It's an amazing character. They really need to, you know, look, if you're gonna reboot it, do it right. I don't mind Jamie Foxx, but like I said, you know, Michael Jai White, it's not like he's aged. The
You
man's
were
in phenomenal
talking
shape.
about Ghost Rider just a moment ago. We may do a show on him too, but the two films that Nicolas Cage played Ghost Rider, that second Ghost Rider film
Yeah,
was pretty damn good, bro.
It was deep, wasn't it?
It was good, man.
Yeah, yeah. The first one was okay. The second one, I said, yo, this right here, that was good. The second Ghost Rider was really good, especially that last line. Yo, wait a minute. Didn't the devil look like Bob Barra?
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
he said, you were the worst deal I ever made. I said in the theater, I said, yo, I tapped my boy. I said, yo, he's talking to Floyd. Man, that was funny, man. That was funny. But that second Ghost Rider film was really good, man. It was really, really good. I really appreciated that, man. But I really want to see another Spawn movie. Just reboot it. And it's okay to get dark with it now. Make it a rated R film. Don't pull no punches. And right now it's perfect. You could do the love story and how he's trying to get redemption for what from what he's doing, from where he is in life, in afterlife. You know what I mean? The timing is right now. Now they said Jamie Foxx, but I know you know, he's had some health issues. Go right back to Jai White, man, and just reboot the damn film, man. Yep. Yeah, Eric. I definitely remember Shadowhawk. I definitely remember. I think Shadowhawk was black too, wasn't he? Shadowhawk was black. See the Image. They were sneaking them in on us, boy. Yeah, man. I remember Shadowhawk. I got Shadowhawk #1. Every Image comic, I have all the first issues except Bloodshot. That they made a movie over. Who played Bloodshot? Wasn't that Vin Diesel?
Yes, it was
Yep.
a few years ago. Yeah.
Yep. That was an Image comic. I missed that one. But Youngblood, Wildcats, Spawn, Savage Dragon. There was a Lobo ripoff called Blood Wolf that didn't really go far. Wills Potasio, he had a group called Wetworks. I mean, it was the dopest thing I ever saw, but why that shit took like 3 or 4 years to come out? I think he had gotten sick and he kept postponing it, but when it did come out, it came out, and then they had the action figures and everything. What's our brother Champion Hart was saying? He said they messed up the Spawn movie, and from what I understand, this movie was so bad it almost killed Michael Jai White's career. Well, here's the thing, because again, I appreciated it for what it was, but it did get bad reviews. It did get bad reviews. I think looking back, it may have been rushed, but Stormy, wasn't this PG-13 too? It was PG-13, right?
Let me double check on that real quick. And one thing I wanted to say about this particular film, one of the things that the audiences and film critics, let's see, I was trying to see what it was rated.
I think it was PG-13.
Where do we see the rating at for it? Oh.
I'm pretty sure it was.
It may have been. I can't find the rating for it. I was looking up on the IMDb. I couldn't see what it was rated.
Yeah, I think it may have been. You know what? I think it was PG-13 because one thing that me and my friends kept saying was the comic was gory. I mean, people were getting limbs, torn off and stuff. And I said they just didn't do that. The movie did seem rushed, but like I said, I'm a fan. So I appreciate it. I saw more of the good than
PG-13, bro.
Yeah.
I found it.
So that was the issue. That was part of the issue. And like I said, we were still doing things with CGI in the 90s that weren't as good as what they are now.
But where I was gonna go before I was distracted with my thought process of looking that up, when they were making films like this, I don't think that the critics and even the audiences were ready for live action. As it came out, because when I look back on Spawn, some of the writing of it is kind of cheesy.
Yes.
But the premise and what the message and everything that McFarlane had for the character, it is there. It's just that wasn't fleshed out. But we were in a different place because remember, what really turned audiences and critics' eyes toward comic book films was Blade.
Yes.
Blade was a game changer, bro.
Yep. Blade brought the Marvel Cinematic Universe back.
Yeah, any successful comic book film that came after that, like the X-Men or Spider-Man, came after Blade. But Blade was, if I'm not mistaken, it was just before or just right after Spawn.
It was after.
But it was done a different way. And now I look at these films and I'll be like, man, the only real bad comic book films were the one where they totally went against the grain. Like after the first two Tim Burton Batman films, those Schumacher Batman films and everything, they went off track. They went back to the super camp that was the Batman of the 60s. But with modern day campiness, instead of staying online with what Burton was doing, because he brought a darkness and a new world reality to Batman that was reimagined, because the Batman that we knew from before that was the Batman from the TV show in the 60s. Holy crap, Batman. And you hear the guy, but it's like Tim Burton's Batman wasn't that kind of Batman.
Right.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. And the Prince music and stuff, all of that was like, it was different.
You know what? What separated when Blade came out, I do recall one of the things I'm saying. What I do recall saying, they picked up where Spawn kind of fumbled. Because like I said, the movie wasn't like great, but I appreciated it for what it was. I gave it a big old E for effort. You get what I'm saying? And I appreciated it. Difference with Blade, though, Stormy, you know what it was, though, right? The fight scenes, the kung fu. They ran out and they got some good choreographers and they made Blade. I mean, he was in there running up walls and it was Matrix style fight scenes.
Do you remember when he finally killed Frost's right hand man.
Yeah.
And he took dude's head off with his thing, that his silver cord that pulls out. Yep. He took dude's head, and it was like, and that music started playing, and he reached up in the air and grabbed his shades and put them on.
Come on, bro. Come on, that's epic right there.
Dude, when he started fighting all those guys and he was beating them up and that techno music was playing and everything, and then when he took the sword and he sliced those guys up and put the sword down on the floor like that.
Yep. Come on, bro.
Dude, the whole audience, when I was in the theater, stood up and applauded. They stood up. Everybody was like, whoa! They was cheering Wesley, man. That was like, you had to be there. That was like the Avengers Assemble moment in Endgame. It was serious like that. And they really chucked that. And I only believe that they did it because it was a black superhero. But dude, they don't want, see, again, this goes back to what I said about Michael Jai White and Deontay Wilder. And I'm not trying to go in that direction, but I want to speak the reality of what we face in this world. They don't want their women and children celebrating you, cheering for you, fawning over you. Because when that happens, it's totally over for them.
Yeah.
So they're trying to keep that away from you. Seriously. That's it in a nutshell. Now notice, I didn't say specific things, did I? I just generalized it, but that's it.
I can't debate that at all. I can't. But, you know, when you saw Blade came out a little later than this Spawn film, you see where Spawn dropped the ball. This character it came out later than the character Blade. And it's so popular that it should have had the Blade vibe. And it would have been a brilliant film. But the directors, I don't know who directed this film. I don't think they were willing to venture into that realm, or they didn't think to do it. It was still a classic American film. What Wesley Snipes did, and that's another thing, Wesley Snipes had a lot of creative control in Blade, from what I understand, Blade 1 and 2. And he knew what was hot. I mean, when you seen the first fight scene with Blade and he's doing the kung fu, you were like, whoa! And that because at that time, conventional American fans were being introduced to it. See, we was already up on that. We grew up on it. But then, you remember when Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out? And they see all these Asians flying around the screen and stuff like that. They're like, whoa. And now, you see the superheroes doing that. You're like, oh! Now you can't see a movie without that. The Matrix and things of that nature. So the Spawn, the people who were in charge, they dropped the ball. But again, I appreciate it. I appreciate the effort. But I didn't know that Michael Jai White thought that this almost killed his career. I think that they thought just off of name value, because you got to understand, Blade came out way before Spawn did. The character came out in the 70s. Spawn came out and hit, boom, boom, boom. Merchandise, toys, video games. And then the movie comes out, and I think that the director said, we ain't got to do much. It sells itself. And they made some money, but the expectation was a lot higher, especially from the people that know the book like I do. It was toned down, and it was PG-13, and there was not enough gore, and there was like no real story. The story didn't apply as much as it did in the comic book. And plus, to me, his best friend was made a white guy in there. It was the same character, but it was a white guy. And it's like, why are you changing their ethnicity? I always got a problem when they do things like that. Just like when I saw the last Fantastic Four film, and they made Johnny Storm, you know, Michael B. Jordan. I'm like, come on, don't do that to me. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that to me. Johnny Storm is a white kid. Leave him alone. God damn it. But yeah, man, this is I do understand. It did drop the ball, but I appreciate it for what it was. I wasn't expecting an Academy Award. Yeah. The character's badass.
Yeah, it's amazing how rich our culture is with these characters and creations that we live vicariously through and have taken in and read the graphics and the artwork, and it's kind of like, for me, you know, when I reflect on these things, it makes me a little emotional because I was introduced to that by my dad, you know, and I'm so thankful and grateful for it because it has given me a sense of balance in life. Because as a man out here in the world, and a man, you know, a melanated man at that, with everything we have to face and deal with on a day in and day out basis, to have a place of refuge, you know, to retreat and be able to escape for a moment or whatever through this culture, this sense of creativity. I'm very thankful for that, because a lot of us don't have it. A lot of us weren't introduced to it and everything. So it's special. It is very special. That's why any of those people who are out there listening and watching us this evening, it says we've got 28 people out here watching us right now. This is so special, man. What you guys and Drew and I like to say is, enjoy this with us. Come in here into this show and in the chat and be part of the family and relish and retreat into this, because this is all a part of us. You know, it's a part of our lives. And I'd rather have it than not. You know?
Yeah. This is
some of the stuff we talk about, and it takes us back, and we laugh heartily, and we rejoice in the fact of having the experience and whatnot. It's like some people never experienced what we experienced growing up in theaters, cinematically, watching heroic figures on the screen and hearing audiences roar with gusto. We're not talking about like people just laughing out loud in the movies of today.
Right.
I mean, some of this stuff really had impact. Do you remember a few weeks ago when we were talking about the Superman movie with Christopher Reeve?
Yeah.
That scene where he changed to Superman for the first time, when he ran across that street, went through the revolving door, and came out of the revolving door, and that black pimp was standing out there with that kitted out Cadillac. Yeah. And he was like, "Yo, Jim, that's a bad outfit." And Superman said, "Excuse me," and took off and flew up in the air, and he watched him fly away. He was like, "Woo!" You know, he was like,
at that point, only you had to be black to understand what they did there. That was us.
But they put it in the movie, though.
They put it in the movie.
They made us a part of it. They made us a part because the pimp was cool, and he was in some cool threads himself.
Yep.
When he saw Superman come through that door with a cape and everything, because you remember back in the 70s, a pimp with a cape, that was part of his thing. And his stick, his cane. It's like, so they actually put that in the film. But if you don't know these things, they go over your head.
Over your head.
They go over your head, and you be like, "Oh, that's funny, black guy." No. There was something. There was a connection. They found a way to connect the black audience.
That's right.
In that moment to Superman. That's seriously.
Right. That's right. And let me tell you why that's iconic. that made you feel good, because what a lot of you guys don't know, some of you in the chat are men and women of a certain age. Whenever you saw a movie and you knew the movie had tragedy in it, you knew the black person was going to die. And there was always something in you that made you feel bad. Like, yo, okay, here comes a tragedy. Okay, the brother's about to die. I'm going to tell you, Stormy, when I first felt that? I'm going to tell you the very first time I felt that watching a film. Alien with Sigourney Weaver. The one brother.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When the alien got that brother, I was like, man. I was like, God damn it. Now, watch this, Stormy. Later on, when things started to register, I'm watching Into the Dragon, and Jim Kelly got killed by Mr. Harm brutally.
Yep.
I was like, man, why'd I have to kill the brother for? And it hits you. So when you see them capture us in a positive light, wasn't necessarily clowning us at that moment. It was just, wow, we're a part of it. They found the way to bring us into it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's things like that.
And I'll tell you something. You remember the Matrix and Morpheus? 2 times Morpheus almost bit the bullet. That first time when Agent Smith had him handcuffed to that chair and everything, and Neo showed up in the chopper outside of the building, remember? Yeah. And he saved him. And in Reloaded, when he was fighting the agents on top of the truck.
Yeah.
And the truck crashed. And Morpheus was flying into the impact of the crash, and Neo came out of nowhere and saved him. Remember?
Yeah.
Out of there. And the audience cheered with that, because you just knew the black guy was getting ready to die right then and there. And they saved him. So it's like, dude, that is what we're talking about here. The Wachowskis got it right. I have to say, they got it right.
Yep.
Morpheus was still there at the end. Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, man, you kill Morpheus, that's it, man. Come on.
Man, this is why we do these shows, man. And again, this character Spawn. And with great respect to Todd McFarlane, you don't know that Al Simmons was a black man until he said it, I think in issue number 2 or 3. He says, why can't I not turn into who I really am? He said, everyone knows I'm a black man. I almost threw the book on the ground like, oh, what? He's black? That was crazy. And I just read to you the accolades. He was well accomplished. And they got his own brother to flip on him. Another black man shot and killed him and sent him to hell. And I mean, it's an awesome story. It's an awesome book. I recommend it. You can actually, you could watch the HBO series and start from story number 1. Because the HBO series, the animated series, it mimics closely to the comic book. Very, very, very close. There's some things are a little different. But how many seasons is it? It's like 3 seasons, right? Spawn, the animated series.
It's 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. It's damn good though. Binge
I
watch.
Take us back for a moment. Check this out.
Yep.
It's time. Imagine a substance with the power to destroy humanity. Imagine a creature insane enough to use it. Imagine a hero on the verge of creation. From flesh to steel.
You must visualize your objective.
From blood to blade.
Don't get cocky. You have a lot more to learn.
From man to spawn.
Peekaboo. I see you. harvested the ultimate weapon. Makes the Ebola virus look like a skin rash.
Congratulations. I say destroy the cosmos, ask questions later.
Who are you?
This is just what they want.
You're playing their game.
Then I'll play dirty.
You've been violated, girly man.
Use your armor!
Now stay sharp. The night is young.
This summer, evil has a new enemy. Justice has a new weapon. And the world has a new hero. Spawn.
Yep. Yep. That's it. Definitely PG-13. Like I said, I appreciate it for what it was. But when Blade came out, it took you to that dark realm. And it's like, I remember watching Blade in the theater saying, man, Spawn could have been just as dark as this. I don't know what the hell that PG-13 was about, man. I don't know what that PG-13 was about. But you have an opportunity here. And you know, not that I think about it, I could be wrong, but I think Todd McFarlane was a little disappointed with the product.
I do too. I think that's what he, you know, ever since the film came out, he was talking about making his own version of it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And he loved the animation series on HBO. He loved it. He loved that, man. But they need to they really need to reboot it. If they have a problem with Michael Jai White and you get Jamie Foxx is going to have a serious performance. I don't want no jokes in this damn thing. You know, it needs to be serious, you know, because the Hellspawn legacy in that Image universe is very dark. It's very grim.
Yeah.
And you don't play with that thing. You know what I mean? So I think there's an opportunity there. They can get some stuff done, man. So, you know, if it's Jamie Foxx, he can pull it off, the acting and stuff. You know, but yeah, man, Spawn is a hell of a character.
Yeah. So final thoughts, man, because we know we got to get ready to get up out of here so you can clear the way for your pep talk.
Yeah. Again, I love this show because this is the show we get to kick our feet up and reminisce. What you were saying earlier, everyone in the chat, you got to understand, like when we talk about things like this, to me, it keeps you young. And it brings you back. Y'all ever been somewhere and you smell some food and it brings you back to your childhood somewhere? Or you see something and it brings you back, oh man, I remember eating that when I was a kid. It brings you back to a happier time when you ain't paying no goddamn bills and everything was fun in life. So this is why we do this show. This is why we do this show, man. When you go to the movies, when I go to the movies right now, and we talked about this, Stormy, I go to the movies right now and I smell popcorn. I think of every time my father took me and my brother and my sisters to the movie theater. The drive-in right here in the Bronx. Used to be a drive-in here in the Bronx because those were good times. The food matched the times. It was movies, popcorn, and Atari.
Dude, yeah. I still will hold fast. It's not even my memory, but it's what you shared about your dad dropping the refreshments. Because I imagine that like being my own dad. It's like, dude, I can remember that like you just told it yesterday. And like you said, he sat up there and he was so mad. He didn't even that was my dad 100%, bro.
Oh my God. He stood up there, he had his hands on his hips, and he just looked at the shit. He got in the car. And I said, you ain't good at my brother kept hitting me. Don't say nothing. He was pissed off. He told me, he said, don't say nothing.
Man.
My brother was like, shut up. Oh.
Dude, that remind me. I could just envision it. It's like it's just in my mind. Salute to the brother Daryl Alexander out there in that super chat. He says, side note, Disney's Inside Out is one of the most clever movies that I've ever seen in a long time. Good movie, surprisingly deep for a
Heard
kids
about
movie.
that. Heard about
All
that. I'm
right.
gonna check that out. I heard about that. Heard about that.
Yeah. But hey, man.
Great show, man. Great
Yeah,
show.
very much so. Very much a great show. I want to thank everybody that came out. You guys gave hella nice tonight on the super chats. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your support. Again, we do this show for you guys. This is what it's all about. It's like we're extending all our arms out and giving each other a big old hug, a group hug, and this culture thing of ours, what keeps us going in life. So, with that being said, we're going to get ready to get up out of here. You guys can take the same energy over to Drew's show, the Pep Talk, coming up in about 8 minutes. And we'll catch you guys next week on another Nerds on Culture. From Drew and myself, we want to say peace and shout out to the mighty LDBC.
Yep.
We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yes,
Peace.
sir. Peace.